Hey everybody, Brian here for Work to Game Videos, and today I'm going to be going and breaking down the patch 3.4 preliminary notes for Final Fantasy XIV, giving my thoughts on what's changing and just kind of reviewing the notes. Now there's a lot of them, and if you're very interested in all the minute detail, I'd recommend checking out the obviously full notes on the Lodestone for your viewing and reading pleasure. But I've trying to break this down into various different categories and going to provide my thoughts and see how it goes. So if you guys like this video, let me know in the comments below specifically what you like about it, and even if what you don't like about it, so we can kind of see what works and what doesn't, as this is the first time I'm doing a Final Fantasy patch note video, and it's substantial. So with that, we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to be talking about kind of story and quest updates, squadron and grand company updates, apartment housing updates, gold saucer updates, Wondrous Tails overview, job changes, which essentially, if y'all haven't heard the news, Astro is getting buffed, system and Palace of the Dead changes, PvP, dueling, and feast updates, private matches, that's exciting, we're getting there, and the double cross hotbar, and just other general system updates. I'm going to see if I can put some annotations together, and that way we can kind of break this down for you, because this is potentially going to be a long video, or the other option I'm toying with is just breaking this up into several different videos covering the different topics. We'll see. So since that's the future, you'll know what I've done by the time you're watching this. So all right, let's go ahead and get started. Obviously with story and updates, we're getting new main scenario quests, some nice little images there of what we can expect. So I've ignored the quest names and the number for potential spoilers, but essentially, obviously this is pretty common with any Final Fantasy XIV patch. We're also getting new Chronicle of the Era quest. So what that means for anybody who doesn't know, that's obviously the Alexander, the new raid, Savage, as well as the Warring Triad. So just a couple notes here. The average item level to get into the final phase of Alexander is 230. Not too bad, obviously with some of the other changes that should help users get up to at least that eye level pretty quickly. A Warring Triad for just the regular Sophia the Goddess, which is the new trial fight, that's going to start at 220 to be able to be entered into that. Some side story quests, obviously, I'm going to butcher this, the Scholasticate, and then Hildebrand quest lines are being expounded upon. So look forward to that if you are fans of those two side stories. Following adjustments have been made to the animal weapon, and I think this is pretty interesting. So the fate requirement for the quest Trials of the Brave has been changed from obtaining a gold medal to just completing the fate, and I would assume that does mean that you at least have to win. No word yet on if that means that it just needs to complete itself with a failure. Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see on that. And then the Algon tombstones required to create and enhance animal weapons has been changed from what they have here, tombstones of law, into lore. And my impression is they might have meant esoterics, since law is going away completely. Anyway, and so we're also not going to be getting any more esoterics in this, and the two tombstones are now going to be lore and scripture. Okay. All right, so new side story quests have been added. So obviously here are some of the quests that pretty much unlock some of the dungeons, which we'll get to here in a little bit. The Great Google Library Hard. So the quest is, let me Google that for you. Very well done. Bravo to the location team. Disciples of War Magic level 60 is pretty obvious, and the quest kicks off in Idleshire, or Idleshire, as I like to say in game. So you obviously, to have this quest, you must first complete the main scenario quest, Heaven's Word, to unlock it. Duels, there's a quest for that, and it's called It's Time to Duel, and it's been far beyond Time to Duel, but it's a level 1 quest, and it starts off in the Wolf Den Pier, so you can kind of get a little quest there, probably a little XP, we'll see. And then Wondrous Tails, probably the most exciting thing, at least before getting into the patch, that I'm excited about. So keeping up with the Alapos, and again, I'm going to butcher terminology here. Sorry about that. Idleshire as well, and then we're going to cover that in a little bit more detail here in a little bit. Okay, So Grand Company quests have been added, Squadron and Commander, so for all three of them. So to unlock this, you must also complete the side quest Rising to the Challenge. And we'll get this kind of into more detail, but it appears that the challenge log is going to really feed into how you use the new squadron system as a part of the Grand Companies. Well, you can see here, obviously it's you have to be at least level 47. Squadrons also, are part of the 2.0, so you don't necessarily have to have Heaven's Word to take part in it. Pretty exciting and pretty cool stuff. The type of Algan tomestones attained from Wyvern skin and dragon skins have been adjusted, and so is the Aquapolis. Pretty much expected. Obviously, with esoterics no longer in rotation with 3.4, then the adjustment is for lore and scripture. Also, a couple of adjustments to the Aquapolis. The cutscene shown when doors unlock has been adjusted, so I guess we'll have to wait and see what that really means. And the new monster spawning patterns have been added, so that should be fairly interesting. I think the Aquapolis is one of the most fun bits of content that they've introduced. It's so I'm interested and glad to see that they're making some adjustments. So I'm going to absolutely have to check that out. Okay, so now we're going to be getting into the Grand Companies and the Squadrons and what that really kind of and how that kind of really plays together. So let's look at that. So players can now be promoted to the first lieutenant in their respective Grand Companies. This is fantastic. Years later, we were able to finally apply for that promotion. Once promoted, the company seal cap will be increased from 50,000 to 80,000 company seals. So my first thought when reading that line was, okay, well, that's great, but I rarely, do I have stuff to spend my seals on anyway. I'm stocked up on ventures and it's like I don't need to go and get any crafting materials, but they do talk about what other uses company seals will be having in this, and that will be covered a little bit lower. So with the introduction of the new company rank, new items have been added to the Grand Company Quartermaster, so that as items and materials that we can buy with company seals. I'm not showing the list here. Again, I would recommend you guys, if you are interested in seeing what those are, you can go check that out on the Lodestone. Okay, so for 2 and 3X, this is really cool, but players can take command of soldiers with their respective Grand Companies with adventure squadrons. On the Aetherite Radio podcast, I call it the Splatoon system, because in Japan it's called platoons. Here it's called squadrons. So that joke is going to get old as I explain it. All right. So after assembling a significant number of NPC recruits, players can deploy a squadron of soldiers on special missions, reaping rich rewards upon their successful return. So, managing your squadron, you recruit squadron members. A squadron cannot be formed until you have at least 4 members. This can be accomplished by completing objectives in your challenge log, which will attract new recruits to join your squadron. And then you see a little kind of pop-up message. This is a new recruit has arrived. View enlistment papers in the barracks. All enlistment papers received will be delivered to your desk inside the squadron barracks. So apparently we're going to have a desk. I guess that's what comes with the promotion. I'm not sure. Okay, so then you can see here just an image of a level 1 Marauder with his experience and whether his strength, his life, or his heart. I don't know what he's passionate about, what he loves. And then some weird symbol of the dark and the light at 24. So you can kind of accept him or dismiss him. There is an upper limit, so at some point you would have to choose whether you needed to let somebody in your squadron go to get a new recruit. When the potential recruit piques your interest, select question, and then the viewing their enlistment papers will call them to the barracks to view their profile. If they are to your satisfaction, you can recruit them to join your squadron. The barracks has a room for 8 soldiers. If you have reached this limit and wish to enlist new recruits, you must first discharge one of your existing squadron members. That would suck. It's like, oh, hey, buddy, I know we've been working together real long, but this Makote over here just seems really nice. we gotta part ways. All right. So you can also choose to postpone the potential recruits' enlistment or dismiss them when viewing their papers. Please note that if you postpone enlistment, you cannot review the next application until you choose to either accept or dismiss this current applicant. Okay, so training your recruits. After assembling your first squadron, they must undertake an introductory mission called City Patrol. After successfully completing this mission, they may undertake training courses posted on the regiment board. Training courses will provide an increase to your squadron's overall physical, mental, and tactical abilities. I guess that actually represents those three values: physical, mental, and tactical. The focus on which attribute is improved varies on which course, varies from course to course, and you're free to concentrate on the areas you wish your squadron to excel. That's pretty cool. There's also a squadron chemistry, and we'll cover that, I think, here in a little bit. Each training course takes 1 hour to complete, so if you are familiar with Ventures and some of the other systems, the airship system, this is a very similar system to that. So when training courses are complete, all recruits present in their bracks will receive experience points, and the squadron's overall attributes will increase. Recruits can undertake training courses up to 3 times a day. Training sessions are renewed every day at 1 p.m. Pacific time. All right. Deploying squadrons on missions. When a squadron has amply prepared, speak to the squadron sergeant to deploy them on a mission. Be advised that deploying your squadron requires an expenditure of company seals, with costs increasing as mission difficulty increases. So, furthermore, each mission has a minimum level requirement, and at least one member of that squadron must meet this requirement to proceed. So, it has this event. This is right now reminding me of the venture system, especially this part. So, missions require 18 hours Earth time to complete. The time remaining until the mission is complete can be viewed in your timer's interface, located under the duty in the main menu. So, just like there's various things that you can have your retainers go out on exploratory, Dory missions, etc. I'm totally mispronouncing it. However, that's an 18-hour cycle, so this is another one. Which, for me, that actually works out really well. That's pretty exciting that you can have these 3 training missions at an hour each. Okay, it's time to go to bed. Let me send them out on a main mission, etc. for the night, and then they'll be ready when you come and log back in the next day to be able to do your 3 missions. So that's pretty. I think that seems like a pretty fair balance there. So then you would review your squadron's mission report and whether it was successful or failure. And so even if you do fail the mission, you will get some experience points, but they're going to be half what the base reward was in that case. And so it's going to be interesting to see what kind of rewards we're able to get from doing these missions outside of leveling our squadron. It's important to note that they said that this is a framework, so in future updates we should be able to actually party and go and do content with our squadron as well. So that we'll see how that plays out and where we go from there. Okay, so that was the Grand Company and Squadron updates. Next up, we've got apartments and housing updates right here, right now. So the interior floor and ceiling lights of apartments can be customized the same way as in state halls. So you can see images right here of Topmast, Lily Hills, and the Sultana's Breath. These are the 3 apartment buildings located in the residential area. What's really neat about this is there was early reports that there was going to only be like 6,000 apartments per server, but actually it starts off at that, and they've designed the system that as those get filled up, they can easily scale without any real stress to the system. So that's really exciting. So they can have a ton of apartments to go and acquire. So an apartment building is available in every ward in the 3 residential districts, with the second apartment building available in each subdivision. Each apartment building also contains a lobby where players can speak to a receptionist, as well as a vendor or material supplier NPC. Players can enter apartments directly from the building entrance or via the door inside the lobby. Before purchasing an apartment, players must first obtain level 50 with at least 1 class. Furthermore, players must have obtained their rank of second lieutenant in the Maelstrom, Order of the Twin Adder, or the Immortal Flames. Each apartment building can house up to 90 tenants, with each room costing 500,000 gil. Players are allowed 1 apartment per character. Furthermore, it is possible to own both an estate and an apartment. So if you do have a house, you can also have an apartment. Not a bad deal. Furnishings, player can place up to 50 furnishings in an apartment with a free company and personal estates. Players will also be able to use house-specific features such as Flower Pot, the Orchestrion, the Armory, Crystal Bell, Summoning Bells, and they can also employ of NPCs. Additional facilities, each apartment building can also include a chocobo stable, which is shared with all tenants. Here, players can train their chocobos and change their color and also assist in training other tenants' chocobos. Really nice of you if you do that. It is also possible to teleport directly to your apartment. This is great. This is reason enough for me to go ahead and get an apartment anyway. I've got a house out in Limsa. I could also now have some land in Gridania, which is where my free company is. Might as well plant some roots there, right? The following additions have been made to gardening. New items can be grown. That's awesome. New soil has been added. So they've added just regular potting soil. They say that this is inexpensive and it really grants no bonuses to harvesting. But it can be purchased from the various vendors. So you can see they've just added it to the material supplier vendors in the various residential areas. The time to require harvest plants from the following seeds has been reduced. So they have firelight, ice light, wind light, and so on and so forth. That's been reduced. The seeds can also be purchased from these vendors as well. Players can exchange level 6 etheric wheel stands for compact ones by speaking with a resident caretaker NPC in each residential district. So, and then obviously new craftable items have been added to the company workshop. It's pretty neat. So you can also see Chocobo cottage wall, house, mansion wall, etc. So and here's a nice little image of that as well. If I just drag it in just for the view there. It looks cool. Totally not going to do it. All right, so some gold saucer updates and things that are happening right now. So the triple triad battle hall has been added. The battle hall is an instance area where players within the same data center can gather and challenge one another in triple triad. It may be accessed via any location via aka the duty finder. So we were asking and talking about wouldn't it make sense if this was a part of the duty finder? It's something what is. So it looks like you get access to here via the duty finder, and then you can kind of socialize and walk around. So it makes me think of hey, if we all queued into a dungeon and then we wanted to play triple triad. So instead of this being a dungeon, it's hey, we've queued into this one room for our data center. The battle hall is instanced and where players within the same data center can gather and challenge each other in triple triad. It may be addressed. I just read that. Yeah. All right. So selecting withdrawal or allowing the timer to run out will count towards the cooldown penalty for Duty Finder. So take note of that. That's important to know. Players who are inactive for at least 10 minutes will be forcibly removed from the instance. So I guess if you AFK, they're going to let you leave. Now, you need to be level 15 to enter into the hall. Let's see here. Players must first complete the quest. It could happen to you. That's pretty much how you get into the gold saucer. And also, in addition to just having this social area, you can challenge other players and NPCs directly in the battle hall. Players can also choose to actually be matched at random by speaking with the hall assistant NPC located in each corner of the room. There's no waiting period after a match is facilitated by the hall assistant has ended, so players may continue to register as often as they desire. So there is some automatic matchmaking that's in there, I guess, if you don't necessarily want to walk around and ask people to play or challenge people or whatnot. A lot of people, like myself included, are just, we're kind of scratching our heads on this. I'm not knocking it. I'm actually going to try it. And one of the big things is that there are challenge log items that are a part of it, which is exciting. So I'm definitely going to be there checking that out. Okay, so match rules are decided upon the participants. A maximum of 2 match rules can be in effect at any time using a combination of the rules selected by both opponents. Example, if player A selects same and player B selects plus, both same and plus will be used for the match. If player A selects same and player B selects same, only same will be used for the match. However, should 2 players choose any of the following combination of rules, one of the 2 will be selected at random. All open, 3 open, order and chaos, ascension and descension. Guess that makes sense. All right. Any given battle hall will remain open for 4 hours. Okay, so I'm assuming this means that you can be there for 4 and then they kick you out regardless. This 4-hour period starts with the first person to enter the battle hall instance. Please note that players will be unable to challenge other players or NPCs to play when there are 5 minutes remaining in the battle hall. So it seems like these get spun up and then they exist for 4 hours. They kick you out, they close that instance down, and they spin up another one. I'm betting based off of this, and this is pure engineer speculation on my part, is that this is heavily relying on the kind of the duty finder dungeon system, and so that 4-hour thing is kind of probably what they have already in place for dungeons. Even though there is a timeout, there's some system thing in the background that says, all right, we got to free up this memory and clean it up or something like that. But I don't know. I haven't seen their code, so I'm not sure. An announcement will be made when there are 60 minutes remaining in the battle hall, at which point new players will be unable to enter. So 1 hour before it closes, so that's good. Nobody's going to just queue in and find out that there's 5 minutes left and feel like they got gypped. Players who continue playing Triple Triad may leave and register and join a new room before that expires. So you can just keep bouncing in and out. So that's pretty interesting. Ongoing Triple Triad matches when there are less than 5 minutes remaining will not be canceled. Okay, wow. So if there's still a match in play, they're not going to cancel it, I guess, unless you're idling for more than 10 minutes. Oh, so we got new Triple Triad cards. An image of that right there for you guys. New cards have been added to the Bronze Triad, card pack. The Moogle and the Moglin card are now classified as Beastman type. That's good. I've always was wondering, if they're going to make that change. New NPC opponents for Triple Triad have been added. Players can also now register to play Lords of Dominion in the Duty Finder. So that's going to be good. It always was annoying that I felt like I had to go to play. So totally didn't dive into that system at all. Maybe we'll have this, bring me back in and we'll go from there. So matching will include all players within the same data center for Lords of Dominion. Players must first clear stage 2 a hatching plan, I guess, to do this. So there are the 2 kind of trials or the training courses. So it sounds like you're going to have that completed before you can take part. Players may choose from the following challenges found in the Gold Saucer tab of the Duty Finder. Please note these matches can only be accessed through the Duty Finder themselves. So we have a whole new Gold Saucer Duty Finder option. Awesome. That's fantastic. Thank you. All right. So Lords of Dominion players, a party of 3 or fewer people, just some general notes, and my notes here kind of got a little fragmented. So that they're saying a tournament must be ongoing at the time of registration. You must also be registered for the tournament. I guess if they're going to be driving people into this to be able to drive tournaments as well. And then rankings will be decided on each world individually. So that's pretty interesting. Okay, so initial MGP cost to play Lords of Dominion has been removed. It sounds like a good idea. Okay, so we are also able to now get 3 jumbo Cacpot tickets per week. So you can do the 3 daily kind of scratch-off Cacpot tickets, and then you can always get the weekly one. You can get one of them. Now you can actually buy 3. The first ticket's going to cost you $100. The second ticket's going to cost you $150, and the third ticket's going to cost you $200. So that's pretty awesome. I'm very much looking for that as well. They've also added a summoning bell, and it's been placed in the Gold Saucers, Aetheryte, and Race counter at the Chocobo Square. And they've obviously made new prizes available for purchasing with MGP. So I'm still saving up towards that $1 million, and I'm for that Fenrir mount, and also I guess I need another $1 million to get Cloud for my collection of cards. So I don't know if they'll tempt me with any of the new ones, but definitely not that one. We'll have to see. Okay. So that was Gold Saucer. We're moving right along, which is good. Wondrous Tails have been added. So this seems to be very exciting. They showed this off in the live letter, but this seems like it's going to be very powerful of a system to help encourage continued new content going forward. So this is unlocked in Idleshire. And it's a weekly challenge. It's kind of like a weekly challenge log, but you get this book and you get these stamps. So I'm going to break down what they have listed here in the notes. So completing Wondrous Tales. Receive a Wondrous Tails journal. Speak with the NPC Chloe Alapu in Idleshire and receive the journal containing 16 objectives. Please note that no 2 players will have all of the same objectives. Cool. That's really interesting. So we didn't know if that was going to be kind of locked in every week, but it's going to be different per each player. Complete objectives to obtain seals, and then upon completing the objectives corresponding with the squares in your journal, you will receive up to 9 seals at random that will be added to your journal. You can only receive 1 seal per objective. So you hand in the Wondrous Tails journal. When you have received 9 seals for your journal, deliver it to Chloe, and she will reward you accordingly. You will receive a base reward for obtaining 9 seals and additional rewards for completing rows horizontal, vertically, diagonally. A Wondrous Tails journal can only be kept for 2 weeks, starting from Tuesday when it was first issued, before it can be handed in for a reward. So this is interesting. So you can, if you don't turn it in, but you come back the next week before that Tuesday, you should be able to turn it in and get your reward. So here's a couple of really cool images. We're going to kind of bring those up here as well, just to get a better view of those. So you can see that your stickers or excuse me, I guess your seals are being stamped here, and then you're going to get you have kind of your reward list. So you've got 9 seals, so doing that, it's going to net you these rewards. But if you get 1 line, you're also going to be able to pick between one of the 2 lines. You get to go down here as well, and then 3 lines as well. So it looks like you get to pick various rewards outside of the one that you get for getting the 9 seals or stamped in your book. So you're going to see that. You're going to see the lines. You can go horizontally, diagonally, and vertically. Second chance. When you've completed an objective with 1 or more party members who are new to the duty, you will receive 1 second chance point. You can receive up to 9 points, which can be used as described. So once you have unlocked the Wondrous Tails, it is possible to receive second chance points even if you do not currently possess a journal. Awesome. Thank you. That's just really well, that's a little good foresight right there. All right. You can only receive 1 second chance point per objective, even if more than 1 party member is new to the duty. So if you queue in and you're new and 7 others are there, you're only going to get 1 point, but it's still pretty sweet. Second chance points can only be attained from duties that offer bonuses when 1 or more players are new to the duty. So that's pretty straightforward. So you can have there's a couple actions you can do. You can retry. So points needed to do a retry is 1. So it restores the status of a completed duty to incomplete, while rendering the status of an incomplete duty to complete. Then you have shuffle, and that requires 2 points. And shuffle, it basically the position of all your seals in the journal that move around. So just jumping back up here, it seems like these seem to get placed at random, so you can spend 2 points to shuffle those and get what you're looking to do there. The following additions have been made to the challenge log. So there's now Wondrous Tails category has been added. So new objectives have been added. Tails from the daring, do, bad, and good luck. So complete and mark off 3 Wondrous Tails. And then you can also have, cards in the hall. This is play 5 triple triad matches in the battle hall. And then if you win 3 of those, you can also get triple trumble. So we got obviously new challenge logs, which is going to feed into the squadron system, which is fantastic. Okay, so let's keep going on. We're making our way halfway now. New structures have been added to Idleshire, so you'll see that the place continues to build, and because of that, they've moved Sabina, Hismina, Bertana, and Rowena. So I probably not going to be all too difficult to find them, but they are now being relocated. All right, let's get into the meat, the battle system. Actions and statuses have been adjusted as follows. So Paladin, Sword Oath, increase the potency has changed from 50 to 75. So man, that's it's just 25, but it still is like they keep seem to buff that option. Weapon delay will now affect damage output. Fascinating. Dark Knight. All right, so Unleash. It now binds enemies for 6 seconds at PvP areas. Auto attack will stop when this action is used. I'm assuming that is in conjunction with being in a PvP bind and not outside in the world of the PvE world. But this is really great. So for anybody who's like, Unleash, what's that ability? That's the AoE kind of like, get over here, focus on me, build hate ability. So I've often said in PvP, tanks kind of struggle with this concept of like their hate building skills. Like what are they really there for? The person's just like, you can provoke me, I don't care, I'm going to go fight this guy. So Unleash, it sounds like it's actually going to be useful in PvP, which is great. Can't wait to try that out. Machinist Reload now remains in effect until all ammunition is used. I'm assuming as a non-machinist that somebody's going to really be happy about that. Okay, so we've got some Thaumaturge, aka Black Mage abilities, and they're really just PvP changes. So Blizzard, Sleep, and Freeze. The reduction, basically the crowd control reductions going from 12 to 8 seconds in PvP areas. Conjure and White Mage, Stone, same kind of debuff. Okay, Astrologian. Here's here's like welcome to a whole new way of thinking through Astrologian here. Okay. Nocturnal set. It's increasing healing magic potency. It's being increased by 5%. So from going from 5 to 10%. So you're going to be able to heal a little bit better. Aspected benefic. The amount of damage nullified by a barrier from Nocturnal Sect has been increased from 130% to 150% of the HP restored. The potency of the Magitech Bearer and PvP areas has been changed to 65% of HP restored. So what this is doing is that, I actually put some numbers up here just kind of, for my own personal notes. So basically before today, let's say you healed for 100 HP, you would put 130 HP shield on. If you did for 300, you do like a 390 shield. 500, you do like a 650 HP shield with Aspected Benefic. How now with the update, if you do 100, you're going to put 170 HP shield. If you did like 300, it would be 510 HP shield. And if you did for 500, it would be 850 HP shield just from that one adjustment. Aspected Helios is getting a bump of 30% to that HP restored. So same kind of calculation right there as well with that little shield. Enhanced Benefic. Okay, so you had this trait, and so it basically made if you were casting Benefic and it procced, would have there's a 15% chance your Benefic 2 would be instacast. That appears to be changing, and it's sounding like we're losing the instacast, and we're actually getting a 15% chance Benefic 2 is going to be a critical heal. So it's like you proc that, and boom, you're going to get that real big heal. I think that's going to help you be able to spike heal a little bit better. Stella's getting the same reduction in PvP to her heavy. Redraw, recast time on that's been reduced to 30 seconds. That's pretty impressive. That's the same kind of cycle as the drawing of the cards now, which is at 30 seconds. So it seems like you might be able to always kind of redraw. So a little bit more flexibility with your card system there. Draw, the effect has been increased from 15 to 30 seconds. What this means to me with my Astrologian is that if I don't set that card or do anything with that card, I now have 30 seconds to take an action, as opposed to having it like drop off and then I have to wait again for the cooldown. Royal Road is getting a 5 yalms increase to the area for the Ewer Inspire cards, which is really cool. Balance, we're getting a buff from 10 to 20% for single target, and a 5 to 10% buff. So that's they're buffing that the balance right there. That's pretty impressive. Bull, same kind of thing, 10 to 20%, 5 to 10% if it's turned into an AoE ability. And obviously this increase does not affect the PvP areas for both these items. And Celestial Opposition, extend duration of effects cast by self and party members has been increased from 5 to 10 seconds. So a little bit more breathing room there for that ability. Okay. Following PvP actions have been adjusted. So for your tanks, Weapon Throw, Enhanced Weapon Throw 2 effect duration increased has been reduced from 9 to 8 seconds. Okay. And then Black Mage, Nightwing, effect duration has been reduced from 8 to 6 seconds. Enhanced Nightwing 2 has been reduced from 12 to 8 seconds. So it looks like they're really crashing down on crowd control mechanics within PvP. New dungeons, yes, have been added. Zabotal. So the requirements are you must first complete the main scenario quest, Promises Kept. So that's going to get you access to this dungeon. And then also we've got the Great Google Library, which we mentioned the quest above. So obviously you need to complete the main quest, Heaven's Word. So to accommodate differences in player gear and overall dungeon difficulty, item level sync has been added to the following dungeons. So St. Machine's Arboretum and Ferocious Hard are capped at 140 eye level. And so you'll go in there and you'll be item level synced. The Weeping City of Mach has been adjusted as follows. The weekly restriction of rewards obtained from coffers has been removed, and the weekly restrictions for the pennies has also been removed. So feel free, I guess we're going to see maybe more runs of that. I'm wondering if we'll see those pennies needed for anything else. Maybe the third phase. Who knows? Stock up? Maybe? I don't I'll let you decide. Okay, the requirement. So players who are now incapacitated after having battled enemies for a certain period of time. Players are incapacitated after having battled enemies for a certain period of time. Oh, sorry, guys. Players will now receive the Echo in the event of all party members are incapacitated during certain trials. Okay, so this is that they've added the echo to a couple things. So you can see that in the final steps of faith, the minstrel's ballad, that buff from 10 to 50, 5 to 25, accordingly. Recast timers. This is why I was like confused, because this is what I was actually thinking in my mind. Will be reset in the event all party members are incapacitated during a trial or raid. So what that means is that when you start, like if you've used that skill and it's like it's still on cooldown, and you're going back in, that's gone. So you don't have to wait for that to happen again. When accessing shortcuts or returning from being incapacitated after an instance is complete, players will be moved to the exit in the following duties. Thank you. That's gonna save us time if you wipe and nobody decides to res you. And when I mean wipe, like you do, we win, you're dead, and then they all leave, and you're like, oh, okay, gotta run back. Okay. Duties listed under Dungeons: A Realm Reborn and Dungeons Heavenwards, Raids, etc. In the duty finder. I see here battle. Okay, so I lost that image. Okay, here we go. So you can kind of see what you're queued up for. Battle on the big bridge, keep, steps of faith, trials, Realm Reborn in the duty finder. All raids and trials are going to be listed in the raid finder. The Aquapolis, the following editions adjustments have been made to the tombstones. So they're adding tombstones of scripture. So for those of you who aren't aware, this is pretty much a typical cycle with one of the even numbered patches. So we're getting tombstones of scripture. We can have up to 450 a week, and we can hold a max of 2,000, pretty standard. And then lore is there's no weekly limitation on lore anymore. So lore will get you that 230 gear, which you can use those pennies to get up to 240. So that will increase that upgrade path there. And then we'll be going, obviously, working towards the new gear that way. Tombstones of esoterics are not acceptable or not going to be obtainable, but they should provide a way of turning those into lore tombstones. And then they're going to be completely removing law tombstones from the game. So if you're hearing this, you have law and you haven't turned them into esoterics, I'd recommend doing that. Otherwise, they're just going to go bye-bye. Certain duties that rewarded Algan tombstones of esoterics for the first time completion bonus will now reward lore. Great. Okay, so duty finder adjustments as follows. The penalty count for abandoning duties will actually also now apply for PvP. So if you try to queue up and you want to, and you can't, and you back out, you get 3 a day before you start getting that 30-minute cooldown period for abandoning. There is no longer required to adhere to the average item level when registering as a full party. I was talking to my friends Jelly today, and we were kind of saying, does this maybe even apply to a light party with a 4-man, or when they say full party, it just brings to mind 8-man content, which is pretty cool. She said that she's ready to carry people with it, but I like that. It's like, hey, we've got our whole pre-made. We're going to go ahead and do this the way we want to do it. And the question still remains: is this also does this also apply to a 4-man pre-made for a dungeon? The display of the duty status window has been adjusted. When registering to undertake both duties in PvE and PvP, the display of matching information in the duty status window will be prioritized in the following order. The average wait time displayed corresponding to the duty with the shortest queue. So PvE duties and PvP matches. The name of duties that you've registered will now be displayed in the duty list. So this is for Mac, PC, and PlayStation 4. That's awesome. So if you guys, if you queued in for more than one thing, and it's going to tell you that, and it sounds like from this that it's going to put the one that has the shortest time up at the top, and maybe we'll see that fluctuate and move. So for PlayStation 3 users, the names of duties will be displayed via a tooltip when selecting the duty list. The following additions and adjustments have been made to the Palace of the Dead. So they've made some other changes and things like that. We'll get into kind of some of the UI pieces. There was a couple of notes beforehand, but this is just more what they've kind of added. The Accursed Hoard has been added. While exploring the Palace of the Dead, players will be on occasion discover hidden treasures known as the Accursed Hoard. Upon saving progress and exiting the Palace of the Dead, players can take this treasure to the Expedition Bishop at Quirimil in the South Shroud. You can have it appraised and discover what lies within. Awesome, seems cool. And so players must remain stationary in the location where the treasure is buried for a fixed period of time for the coffer to be unearthed. I wonder if there's going to be some kind of progress that we need to know, or if it's like we found this and you just have to wait there without any feedback of how long you need to wait there. I'm assuming it's probably not going to be that long of a time, but it will be interesting. So they've added new items they call Pommanders, new icon graphics have been adjusted. The number of rooms generated on certain floors have been adjusted. The Aether Pool gear strength requirement when joining match parties has been reduced. The highest obtainable upgrade level for Aether Pool gear is, as determined by player level, has been reduced. The number of enemies that must be defeated to activate the Cairn of Passage and Cairn of Return has been reduced. Traps and mines will now affect nearby enemies when triggered. The strength of Voidfire 2 and Pummel when transformed into a Succubus or Manticore has been adjusted. The number of experience points earned when defeating enemies has been increased, so we're going to see a lot more level ups. The chance of discovering a treasure coffer when using Pomander of Fortune has been increased. The chance of certain enemies will drop treasure coffers has also been increased. The interface that displays when speaking with the Wood Whaler Expeditionary NPC at Query Mill in the South Shroud at that location has been changed. Whew. All right. I need to take a drink of water here. Throat's drying out. This episode is brought to you by Big Blue Bottle of Water. Okay. We're back from the break. So Deep Dungeon, Realm Reborn. You can see that they've updated kind of the UI and here. And so here's some images. In the event party members are incapacitated, a confirmation prompt will be displayed before leaving the instance. A tally of party KOs will not be displayed when viewing save data in a fixed party. Pretty neat. The display of the save data window has been adjusted. I wish they gave us the third one. Oh man, just 3 slave slots would have been perfect. The save data UI will reflect changes in party composition when a player has disconnected for the party leaves the instance. So that's pretty sweet. You can kind of get a little bit more feedback that way. The following additions and changes have been made to the Diadem. New exploratory missions and Disciples of War Magic have been added. So Disciples of War Magic can now select Diadem Hunting Grounds, Easy, and Diadem Hunting Grounds. So this is really cool. This is kind of really focusing on the battling side of it. Because like I think that one of the complaints was, okay, you queue up and everybody's like, all right, we want to go gather. And you're like, I want to go fight some things. So it was kind of like a little hodgepodgey. So it seems that's nice. Now they still have you can still go do it the other way as well. So parties registered to enter the Diadem Hunting Grounds with less than 8 players must adhere to standard composition. However, there doesn't appear to be any standard composition that you adhere to if you're going there as a group. And players can... okay, cool. So this is... that's all this other stuff. We're going to be focusing on a PvP for a little bit. So dueling has been implemented. Players can now test their skill against others via PvP encounters outside of instance areas. Awesome. It's in one spot. Wolves Den. Not as awesome, but hey, baby steps, right? Hopefully this is the step to where they can free it from the Wolves Den. There's no reason why we shouldn't be able to battle in other areas. I guess maybe feedback is they're looking for, because because you go into this area. I don't know. Who knows? I don't know what the technical limitations are behind it, but hopefully we get to see more of it. I'm sure it's going to be real crowded for a while, and eventually, because people aren't, always going to want to just go to the Wolf's Den. Who knows? Could be completely wrong on that one. So dueling location. Duels can only be conducted in the dueling circle at the Wolf's Den Pier, which is nothing like a circle. That's literally a square. Square Enix. Come on, buddies. You should. All right. Victory requirements. A winner is decided when one of the 2 combatants is incapacitated. Players who are revived will actually remain there, so you will res where you died. There is no time limit to duels. A duel will only end when person is incapacitated. However, should a player or their pet step outside of the dueling circle, their opponent will be declared the winner by default. While level sync and item sync are not utilized for duels, Matera and morale bonuses will not be applied during duels. Certain beneficial effects will also be canceled at the start of the match. Actions. Players may use all available normal and PvP actions and can only attack their designated opponent during a duel. Furthermore, players engaged in a duel cannot receive healing or other beneficial effects from other players. That would be a real twist. Like, you just, hey, buddy, heal me from the corner. I'm good. But they won't let you do that. While standing inside the dueling circle, target for your designated opponent, select Request a Duel from the subcommand menu. And you can also disable requests for duels altogether by using the dual switch on and off command. So that makes me think that they have bigger plans for just this one area, because you can have it auto decline your duels, but there's no, like, what's the benefit of that switch being existing, if the only area that happens is this one area. I guess I can see that if somebody was trying to do some video streaming and wanted to get some really good shots, of like their friends dueling, and they didn't want to keep getting prompted, hey, want to duel while they're doing that for either a stream or for a video. That makes sense, but hopefully that means that we'll see it expand. Okay, gonna just kind of jot over this. This is what the screen looks like when you're being challenged. It's going to tell you the class and the job and the eye levels that they've got, and then you can choose to accept. A unique icon will display but to the names of players engaged in a duel, so you can see that they're dueling with that icon. And then an icon will display next to your name and the name of your opponent, so who you're fighting. So very similar, just it looks like they inverted that graphic right there. Custom matches have been added, allowing players to freely begin battles of the feast between two parties. This is super exciting. I really hope we get a lobby system at some point, because I think that's going to be nice. But the best thing that they add, so they kind of just go over, it's the feast. You're playing the feast, but you don't. You can queue up with either 4v4 or 8v8, so either 2 light parties, 2 full parties. You can bring in somebody to watch, and you are item level synced. So this is the feast, which is going to be really, help you hopefully get some practice, have some fun. Who knows? But you can also rematch. So, and then as a part of custom without having to go out and come back in. I think that's exciting. Again, I think a lobby system would help with that as well. But maybe we'll get there soon. Okay. The following chat channels are available during custom matches: Party, Free Company, Link Shell, Novice Network, and Shout. So, I can probably coordinate and text chat if needed if you're not on any kind of voice chat platform. Okay. Registering for custom matches. This is what I just said. You can do 4-4 or 8-on-8. You can also invite, and so it's kind of like, here's the claws, here's the fangs, and here's the heavenward spectators. So you can kind of join and go from there. So registration custom matches will be canceled under the following circumstances: party leaders change areas, both parties change party leaders, a party member logs out, a party member leaves one of the two parties, a new party member joins one of the two parties, one or more of the parties is disbanded, a leader of the invited party declines, and the hosting party leader selects cancel law on the registration window. So they've added spectator mode, and they've kind of, this area kind of focuses on some of the controls. So if you're invited in as a spectator, you can watch the fight play out. You can see all this information here on the UI screen that they've got here for you. How to spectate, basically, is that you get invited in just like anything else, and then you can kind of switch between various free cameras, fixed cameras, player cameras, and so you have various camera controls, and so they're just kind of highlighting camera 1 and camera 2 or free camera, and you can follow people around. And then here are some keyboard commands, F1 through 8 to kind of drive fixed cameras, player cameras, 1 through 4 on your keys, 5 through 8 for the, the claws and the fangs, and then various player cameras using control 1 through 4 and 5 through 8 to be able to kind of follow around the various player cameras as well. So they're highlighting different changes to the UI, and then just breaking down what those items indicate: buffs, jobs, adrenaline, blah blah blah. So it's pretty neat. I'm really interested to see how well this takes off. I'm also interested to see if we get some kind of broadcasting of PvP matches for the feast. Who knows? We'll see. Okay, so here they are breaking down those numbers so you can kind of get a good idea of the score, the time remaining, the camera menu. And then they're kind of showing the various positions of the different cameras. So you got 2 and 3, 5 and 6, the general area. And then here is the spectators list. So it's going to show you who is, obviously, this is going to be the names of the people who are spectating. All right, so you can leave the custom match and quit spectating. Players can register to join the Feast 8-on-8 match party with any party composition, which is cool. A notification will appear at the end of the match of the Feast in the following circumstances. Your rating has changed. This is great. What a good-looking shot that is. The UI on this, I think, is really great. You can see your score, how much is going up, your bar there. And then if you're in the promotion qualifiers, it's saying, okay, you're going from silver to gold, and then you've got 1 victory, and here's what's the other ones that are remaining that you have left to complete. Pretty cool stuff. The following additions and adjustments have been made to the inventory of Herstmina and Idleshire. So new items are available to exchange. Here's obviously the big one. Item level 200 gear is no longer available for purchase via Tomestones of Esoterics. The following items can be purchased in exchange for Tomestones of Lore. Furthermore, the number of tomestones required has been reduced. So they've kind of made those the 230 gear a little bit cheaper. Not necessarily a bad thing by any stretch of the imagination. And then the level cap for each class has been increased from 220 to 230 for desynthesis. And the cumulative skill point maximum has been increased from 680 to 770. Big changes there. Countdown function has been added. We saw this in the live letter video for PvP, but you can instigate it yourself, which is really great. So you can do a countdown, and then you can say how long you want it to be. There's also a text command /countdown, and then you can put in the countdown time. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, start. Players can no longer initiate a trade with players casting a spell. And then the online status role-playing has been added. So you'll see this little RP there. Might be helpful. This is something I've actually was asking for back in the day. I was just like, if you're role-playing, especially if you're role-playing a not so nice character, perhaps, that it's sometimes helpful for people to know, like, okay, he's role-playing. Hopefully it's not abused. Hopefully this doesn't give people who are just mean the ability to, I'm role-playing. I'm just naturally mean. Okay. The order in which gear and accessories are displayed in the armory chest and characters and retainers attributes window and the market board has been adjusted to match NPC shop's listings. So it looks like they have switched the earring and the necklace. That's going to be, the left and right rings have been reversed. So, okay. They say the left and right rings have been reversed. These are the rings, but that I'm betting they're thinking necklace and earring for that. The W cross hotbar has been added. Super pumped for this. I'm really looking forward to. I'm going to do work on some videos to see how this actually changes my setup of the cross hotbar. And so they kind of highlight this. They showed off a lot of details in the first live letter, but you can enable it. It looks like it's not one or the other, so you can have both. And then you're going to be picking the items that are on there from one of your other, cross hotbars. And so they are kind of showing that. You can double tap to get in there. You do have the ability to say you want to use all 8, or you can just use the 4 as well. So that should be very interesting. With the W cross hotbar enabled, the following options are available. The W cross hotbar will only display 4 additional hotbar slots corresponding to the game's face buttons. And so then you can enable more of that. And then the W cross hotbar will display 8 additional hotbar slots corresponding with the game's pad face buttons and directional buttons. This option is not available for the PS3 version, so that sucks for you guys. Upgrade at some point. You'll really, I think, enjoy it. Hopefully that is something that's in your future, possibly. All right. So players can select which cross hotbar will be displayed when accessing the left and the right. So that's pretty straightforward. For anybody who's used the expanded controls, this should be fairly similar. And then for some reason, and this isn't actually bad, emotes that are grayed out on the hotbar they'll grade them out when they're inaccessible. So if you're doing something and you can't you dance like you're riding a mount, then it's gonna show grayed out, which will be a huge help. The actions listed in the main commands have been divided into subcategories. So as we get more and more main command actions, they're categorizing that, and the additional, and they're also showing you the levels in which your cross hotbar or your additional actions are available at. So that's going to hopefully help remove any confusion there. Okay, so we're just going to go down a couple of these items. They've increased the analog stick and camera speed settings, so you can go in and kind of adjust that. So the maximum speed of the above setting has been increased to 1.5 times. To compensate for this adjustment, any player whose setting was 100 will automatically change to 67. Likewise, any players whose setting was 50 will automatically be changed to 33. So they've automatically making some changes. You can now freely choose any combination of Azoria time, local, and server time to be displayed at the same time. So this is nice if you want to see what time it is in your neck of the woods, as well as what time it is on the game time. Now, this might be just literally the best news to come out of it. So Yoshi P talked about it. He actually was playing and he got RMT'd. Somebody RMT spammed him, and so now they're adding an ability to report for RMT activity, which is going to be great. Will people abuse it? Probably. I don't care. I'm not worried. But this is just going to be nice and hopefully help us, because one of the always big things is like, I don't want to take down their name, and I don't want to, it's like, this is going to be nice. Hopefully like you can report the message, and in the message, it will, like when you report it, it's like it grabs the text and it grabs the name and stuff. Hopefully they're capturing all that as well. They're updating some UI settings. I'm not going to dive too much into it, but you can see display item help and toggle keys with gamepad and keyboard, things like that. Some HUD changes, so you can change overhead display name of various targets as well. And then the cross hotbar, when not in use, transparency. This is great. So this is also great for the W cross hotbar. So if you're not actively on cross hotbar 1 or 2 or whatever, you can have it be faded a little bit so that visually it's going to represent and help you know where you're at, rather than like, oh, I thought I was, on the wrong one. So that's going to be really great. So it was kind of weird because I was like, I knew we had more cross hotbar stuff, but then we jumped around to a couple other things. So you can say always display the W cross hotbar. You can return to the cross hotbar after W cross hotbar input. So if you think of your W cross hotbar as any one-off action, you can set that as a value, and then when you go to it, use the action, and it will automatically return you to your cross hotbar. That could be very, very helpful, and I'm going to play around with that and kind of give you guys my feedback on that as well. And then again, this just goes into that you can do W cross hotbar for PvE and PvP, so you can kind of play around with how you want that to work with those two environments there. Okay, and so then they've also, like they've added some shortcuts. So for the key binding interface, you can have key binds to switch between your various HUD layouts and the log window zoom. And they're also adding support, finally, for DualShock 4 controllers. They do have a note that there is another, series of DualShock 4 controllers that will be supported with a future update. And then lastly, hyphens can be added to character names and retainer names as a part of this update. So for those of you who are wanting to hyphenate, there you go. So this was a very long video. I really thank everybody for, if you're stuck out this far. I'm Brian with Work to Game Videos. I also do the Aetherite Radio podcast, and I'm going to be doing some different guides regarding the double cross hotbar and various content coming out with 3.4. We do lots of different stuff on this channel. It's not just dedicated to Final Fantasy, so we do put everything in playlists. So if you're only here for Final Fantasy, or if you're only here for whatever, you should be able to get to what you're looking for. But thank you very much for watching this video. Please let me know what you liked. Tried not to make it so much reading the text, but hopefully this was worth your time. So anyway, for everybody here, thank you very much, and have a fantastic week, and I'll see you in 3.4.